Good day. For the next 6 or 7 minutes, I'll be giving an overview about buying a house in New York. This video is intended to give general information. I will not be talking about new construction. I will not be talking about condominiums or cooperatives. I will not be talking about purchasing foreclosed homes from a referee or from a bank. This video is not intended to give legal advice, nor should the viewer believe that it constitutes an attorney-client relationship. For specific questions or to retain my services, you may either email me at attorney@mampc.net. That's attorney@mampc.net, or call me at 516-295-9061. This video is being published in April of 2020. And let me begin. Before shopping for a house, a buyer should first consult with a bank officer or a mortgage broker to determine if he or she qualifies and the amount of money a bank is willing to loan. A good mortgage lender will explain how to raise your credit score, will explain the mortgage application process, and will give you estimates for fees associated with a mortgage. After understanding financing, you may then contact a broker who will help you search for a house. A listing agent or broker represents the interest of the property owner in a real estate transaction. A selling agent is also known as a buyer's agent and would represent your interest in a real estate transaction. Both the selling and listing broker are generally paid through commission earned from the seller. You generally do not pay the broker. When you find a house you are willing to purchase, many brokers suggest that you sign a binder. Generally, a binder is a placeholder, allowing a buyer and seller to reserve their rights to purchase the house. Almost always, I counsel a client to not sign a binder for several reasons. First, and depending on the language in the document, there is law that a binder may be deemed a contract. Second, in the age of computers, it is just as easy for an attorney to draft a contract as it is to draft a binder. So you're better off entering into the contract instead of the binder. Third, if it truly is a binder, the document is an agreement to agree, which is unenforceable pursuant to New York State law. During this period, I suggest the buyer contact a professional to inspect the house. In New York, there is a difference between a licensed home inspector and a licensed engineer. In his or her inspection, a home inspector describes the home. However, a professional engineer does everything the home inspector does and adds a professional engineer's analysis. As a result, the cost for a licensed home inspector is much less than a professional engineer. When the buyer and seller agree on a price and general terms for the purchase of the house, the seller's attorney generally drafts a contract to be reviewed by the purchaser's attorney. Every contract identifies the location of the house, the purchase price, items included with the purchase, the type of deed delivered by the seller, when the deed and money are exchanged, this is generally called the closing, and finally, when possession is delivered to the purchaser. For the purchase price, many sellers request a contract deposit or down payment. Generally, the down payment may be 10% of the purchase price, although this percentage may be negotiated. A personal check may be delivered for the down payment. A bank check is generally delivered at closing. A down payment is held by the seller's attorney in escrow. Generally, the escrow is held in a non-interest IOLA or IOLTA account. Minimal interest earned is delivered to New York State to fund legal services. It does not go to you. It does not go to the seller. The seller's escrow account is insured by the New York State Lawyers Fund for Client Protection in case the seller's attorney or the escrow agent takes the money. Items included with the purchase is negotiated between the parties. However, Items generally include a dishwasher, washing machine, clothes dryer, range, oven, refrigerator, freezer, air conditioning equipment, etc. Generally, these items must be given as is, but in working order. Contracts generally have an on or about closing date. Among other things, the approximate date allows the purchaser to secure financing while allowing the seller to clear title and physically prepare the house for closing. The purchaser's obligation between contract and closing is to secure financing and investigate title. A lending institution obligates itself to a loan through a commitment letter. Generally, a commitment letter is conditioned on the appraisal of the house, that the house must be worth a certain value. This is done through a credit check and other financial responsibilities of the purchaser. The purchaser is obligated to retain an abstract company to investigate title. This is generally done through the purchaser's attorney. The abstract company investigates whether any judgments, mechanics liens, or any other matters affecting title to the property. The abstract company also provides information concerning open permits, certificates of occupancy, which are generally called COs or C of O, and other information concerning government compliance. From its investigation, the abstract company generates a report that is issued to the purchaser and seller's attorney. From the report, the seller's attorney may have to obtain a payoff letter to clear title. A payoff letter is a document from a creditor, for example, the bank, obligating the creditor to issue a release of lien upon receipt of a certain sum of money. It may also be necessary for the purchaser to hire a surveyor. This is done through either the purchaser's attorney or the abstract company. The cost for a survey depends on the size and location of the property and may run between $700 to $1,500. When the purchaser has its financing and is ready to deliver the money, and when the seller has good title and is ready to sell, the attorneys generally schedule a closing date. The closing date is either located at the seller's attorney's office or at the office of the attorney representing the bank. This is generally what happens. Immediately prior to closing, a purchaser will have the opportunity to inspect the house, make sure that the house is in the condition represented by the seller in the contract. At the closing, the purchaser, through its bank, delivers the purchase price at the direction of the seller. So, if the seller has a mortgage, a percentage of the purchase price will be paid to seller's bank with the remainder to the seller. There may be some adjustments concerning the amount to be paid to the seller. For example, there may be an adjustment concerning taxes, fuel, water usage. The purchaser may receive a $500 credit in lieu of seller's purchase property condition disclosure statement, which is pursuant to law in New York. The seller delivers a deed to the purchaser for the house. There are several types of deeds a purchaser may receive at the closing. Generally, a purchaser receives a warranty deed. This type of deed warrants or represents that the seller is transferring good title free and clear of any liens. There's also a quitclaim deed, where the seller makes no representations concerning good title. There's also an executor's deed when the seller represents an estate. The abstract company also attends the closing. Its job is to oversee delivery of clear title and that the original deed is recorded or filed with the county clerk. From the purchaser, the abstract company collects the fee to file the deed. With some exceptions, the abstract company collects from the seller the transfer tax. From its performance, a title company issues an insurance policy to the purchaser. The title company only covers title, not governmental issues such as open permits, C of Os, etc. Finally, delivery of title, which is a deed, and delivery of possession, which are the keys, are two different things. Most times, the house will be vacant to be immediately occupied by the purchaser. Sometimes, a seller will need several days to vacate the house. During this period, money is generally held in escrow to ensure that the seller leaves on the agreed upon date and that the house is in the same condition represented by the seller in the contract. After delivery of title and possession, the purchaser will receive a closing statement from my office. The closing statement will outline the money transferred and the documents that were exchanged at the closing. This video is a very brief overview of what a purchaser may expect from buying a home in New York. Again, for more information, you may either email me at attorney@mampc.net or you can call me at 516-295-9061.